Mineral nutrition. The basic need of all living organisms are essentially the same. They require micromolecules such as carbohydrate, protein and fats, and water and minerals for their growth and development. This chapter focuses mainly on inorganic plant nutrition, wherein you will study the method to identify elements essential to growth and development of plant and the criteria for establishing the essentiality. You will also study the role of the essential elements, their major deficiency symptoms and mechanism of absorption of these essential elements. The chapter also introduces you briefly to the significance and the mechanism of biological nitrogen fixation. Method to study the mineral requirement of plant. In 1860, Julius von Sachs, a prominent German botanist, demonstrated for the first time that plant could be grown to maturity in a defined nutrient solution in complete absence of soil. This technique of growing plant in a nutrient solution is known as hydroponic. Since then, a number of improvised methods have been employed to try and determine the mineral nutrient essential for plants. The essence of all these methods involves the culture of plants in a soil-free, defined mineral solution. These methods require purified water and mineral nutrient salt. Can you explain why is this so essential? After a series of experiments in which the root of the plant were immersed in nutrient solution and wherein an element was added, substituted or removed to given a varied concentration in mineral solution suitable for the plant growth was obtained. By this method, essential elements were identified and their deficiency syndromes discovered. Hydroponics has been successfully employed as a technique for the commercial production of vegetables such as tomato, seedless cucumber and lettuce. It must be emphasized that the nutrient solution must be adequately aerated to obtain the optimum growth. What would happen if solution were poorly aerated? Diagrammatic view of the hydroponic technique is given in figure. Essential minerals elements. Most of the minerals present in soil can enter plant through roots. In fact, more than 60 elements of 105 discovered so far are found in different plants. Some plant species accumulate selenium, some others gold, while some plants growing near nuclear test site take up radioactive strontium. There are techniques that are able to detect the mineral even at a very low concentration, 10 to the minus 8 gram per milliliter. The question is whether all the diverse mineral elements present in a plant, for example gold and selenium are mentioned above, are really necessary for plants. How do we decide what is essential for plant and what is not? Criteria for essentiality. The criteria for essentiality of an element are given below. A, the element must be absolutely necessary for supporting normal growth and reproduction. In the absence of element, the plant do not complete their life cycle or set the seed. B, the requirement of element must be specific and not replaceable by another element. In other words, deficiency of any one element cannot be made by supplying some other elements. C, the element must be directly involved in the metabolism of the plant. Based upon the above criteria, only a few elements have been found to be absolutely essential for plants' growth and metabolism. These elements are further divided into two broad categories based on their quantitative requirement. on macronutrient and micronutrient. Macronutrients are generally present in plant tissue in large amounts in excess of 10 millimole per kg of dry matter. The micronutrient includes carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, calcium and magnesium. Of these, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are mainly obtained from carbon dioxide and water, while the other are absorbed from the soil as mineral nutrient. Micronutrient or trace element are needed in very small amount, less than 10 millimole kg per dry matter. These include iron, magnesium, copper, molybdenum, zinc, boron, chlorine and nickel. In addition to the 17 essential elements named above, there are some beneficial elements such as sodium, silicon, cobalt and selenium. They are required by higher plants. Essential elements can also be grouped into 4 broad categories on the basis of their diverse function. These categories are: 1. Essential element as component of biomolecules and hence structural element of cell. Example: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. 2. Essential elements that are component of energy related chemical compounds in plant. Example: magnesium in chlorophyll and phosphorus in ATP. 3. Essential elements that activate or inhibit enzyme. For example, magnesium is an activator for both ribulase, biphosphate carboxylase, oxygenase and phosphorinol pyruvate carboxylase, both of which are critical enzyme in photosynthetic carbon fixation. Zinc is an activator of alcohol dehydrogenase and molybdenum of nitrogenase during nitrogen metabolism. Can you name a few more elements that fall in these categories? For this, you will need to recollect some of the biochemical pathway you have studied earlier. 4. Some essential elements can alter the osmotic potential of a cell. Potassium plays an important role in opening and closing of stomata. You may recall the role of mineral and solute in determining water potential of a cell. Role of macro and micronutrient. Essential elements perform several functions. They participate in various metabolic processes in the plant cell such as permeability of cell membrane, maintenance of osmotic concentration of cell shaft, electron transport system, buffering action, enzymatic activity and act as major constituent of macromolecules and coenzymes. Various forms and functions of essential nutrient element are given below. Nitrogen. This is the essential nutrient element required by the plant in the greatest amount. It is absorbed mainly as nitrate, though some are also taken up as nitrous and ammonium. Nitrogen is required by all parts of plant, particularly the meristematic tissues and metabolically active cell. Nitrogen is one of the major constituents of proteins, nucleic acid, vitamins and hormones. Phosphorus is absorbed by plant from soil in the form of phosphate ion, either as phosphate or phosphorus. Phosphorus is a constituent of cell membrane, certain proteins, all nucleic acid and nucleotide, and is required for all phosphorylation reaction. Potassium. It is absorbed as potassium ion K+ in plants. This is required in more abundant quantities in the meristematic tissues, buds, leaves and root tips. Potassium helps to maintain an anion-cation balance in cell and is involved in protein synthesis, opening and closing of stomata, activation of enzyme and in the maintenance of turgidity of cell. Calcium. Plant absorbs calcium from the soil in the form of calcium ion. Calcium is required by meristematic and differentiating tissues. During cell division, it is used in synthesis of cell wall, particularly as calcium pectate in the middle lamella. It is also needed during the formation of meiotic spindle. It accumulates in older leaves. It is involved in the normal functioning of the cell membrane. It activates certain enzymes and plays an important role in regulating metabolic activities. Magnesium. It is absorbed by plant in the form of divalent magnesium ion. It activates the enzymes of respiration, photosynthesis, and are involved in the synthesis of DNA and RNA. Magnesium is a constituent of the ring structure of chlorophyll and help to maintain the ribosome structure. Sulfur. Plant obtains sulfur in the form of sulfate. Sulfur is present in two amino acids, cysteine and methionine, and is the main constituent of several coenzyme vitamin, thiamine, biotin, coenzyme A, and ferredoxin. Iron. Plant obtain iron in the form of ferric ion. It is required in large amount in comparison to other micronutrients. It is an important constituent of proteins involved in the transfer of electrons like ferredoxin and cytochromes. It is reversibly oxidized from ferrous Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus. During electron transfer, it activates catalyzed enzyme and is essential for formation of chlorophyll. Manganese. It is absorbed in the form of manganese ion. It activates many enzymes involved in photosynthesis, respiration, and nitrogen metabolism. The best defined function of manganese is in the splitting of water to liberate oxygen during photosynthesis. Zinc. Plant obtains zinc as zinc ion. It activates various enzymes, especially carboxylase. It is also needed in the synthesis of oxygen. Copper. It is absorbed as cupric ion. It is essential for overall metabolism in plant. Like iron, it is associated with certain enzymes involved in redox reaction and is reversely oxidized from Cu plus to Cu2 plus. Boron. It is absorbed as BO3 3 minus or B4O7 minus 2. Boron is required for uptake and utilization of calcium ion, membrane functioning, pollen germination, cell elongation, cell differentiation, and carbohydrate translocation. Molybdenum. Plant obtain it in the form of molybdate ion. It is a component of several enzymes including nitrogen and nitrate reductase, both of which participate in the nitrogen metabolism. Chlorine. It is absorbed in the form of chloride ion along with sodium ion and calcium ion. It helps in determining the solute concentration and the anion-cation balance in the cell. It is essential for the water splitting reaction in the photosynthesis, a reaction that leads to oxygen evaluation. Deficiency symptoms of essential elements. Whenever the supply of an essential element becomes limited, plant growth is retarded. The concentration of the essential elements below which plant growth is retarded is termed as critical concentration. The element is said to be deficient when present below the critical concentration. Since each element has one or more specific structural or functional role in plant, it is in the absence of any particular element, plants show certain morphological changes. These morphological changes are indicative of certain elements deficiencies and are called deficiency syndrome. The deficiency symptoms vary from element to element and they disappear when the deficiency mineral nutrient is provided to plant. However, if deprivation continues, it may eventually lead to the death of a plant. The part of the plant that shows the deficiency symptoms also depends on the mobility of the element in the plant. For elements that are actively mobilized within the plant and exported to young developing tissue, the deficiency symptoms tend to appear first in the older tissue. For example, the deficiency symptoms of nitrogen, potassium and magnesium are visible first in the sentences leaves. In the older leaves, biomolecules containing these elements are broken down, making these elements available for mobilizing to younger leaves. The deficiency symptoms tend to appear first in the young tissues whenever the elements are relatively immobilized and are not transported out of the mature organ. For example, elements like sulfur and calcium are a part of the structural component of the cell and hence are not easily released. This aspect of mineral nutrient of plant is of a great significance and importance to agriculture and horticulture. The kind of deficiency symptoms shown in the plant include chlorosis, necrosis, stunned plant growth, premature fall of leaves and buds, and inhibition of cell division. Chlorosis is the loss of chlorophyll leading to yellowing in leaves. This symptom is caused by deficiency of elements sodium, potassium, magnesium, sulfur, ferrous, manganese, zinc and molybdenum. Likewise, necrosis or death of tissue, particularly leaf tissue, is due to the deficiency of calcium, magnesium, copper, potassium, lack or low level of sodium, potassium, sulfur, molybdenum causes an inhibition of cell division. Some elements like nitrogen, sulfur, molybdenum delays flowering in their concentration in the plant is low. You can see from the above that the deficiency of any element can cause multiple symptoms and that the same symptoms may be caused by the deficiency of one of several different elements. Hence, to identify the deficiency elements, one has to study all the symptoms developed in all the various parts of the plant and compare them with the available standards table. We must also be aware that different plants also respond differently to the deficiency of the same element. Toxicity of micronutrient. The requirement of micronutrient is always in low amount while their moderate decrease causes the deficiency symptoms and a moderate increase causes toxicity. In other words, there is a narrow range of concentration at which the elements are optimum. Any mineral ion concentration in tissues that reduce the dry weight of the tissues by about 10% is considered toxic. Such critical concentration vary widely among different micronutrients. The toxicity symptoms are difficult to identify. Toxicity level for any element also vary for different plants. Many a times, excess of an element may inhibit the uptake of another element. For example, the prominent symptoms of manganese toxicity is appearance of brown spot surrounded by chlorotic vein. It is important to know that manganese compete with iron and magnesium for uptake and with magnesium for binding with enzyme. Manganese also inhibits calcium translocation in shoot apex. Therefore, excess of manganese may in fact induce deficiency of iron, magnesium and calcium. Thus, what appears as symptom of manganese toxicity may actually be the deficiency symptoms of iron, magnesium and calcium. Can this knowledge be of some importance to a farmer, a gardener, or even for you in your kitchen garden? Mechanism of absorption of elements. Much of the studies on mechanism of absorption of element by plants has been carried out in isolated cell, tissue or organ. This study revealed that the process of absorption can be demarcated into two main phases. In the first phase, an initial rapid uptake of ion into the free phase or outer phase of cell, the apoplast, is passive. In the second phase of uptake, the ions are taken in slowly into the inner phase, the symplast of the cell. The passive movement of ion into the apoplast usually occurs through ion channel. The transmembrane protein that function as selective pores. On the other hand, the entry or exit of ion to and from the symplast require the expenditure of metabolic energy, which is an active process. The movement of ion is usually called flux. The inward movement into the cell is influx and outward movement is efflux. You have read the aspect of mineral nutrient uptake and translocation in plants in chapter 11. Translocation of solutes. Mineral salt and translocated through xylem along with the ascending stream of water, which is pulled up through the plant by transpirational pull. Analysis of xylem sap shows the presence of mineral salt in it. Use of radioisotope of mineral element also substantiate the view that they are transported through the xylem. You have already discussed the movement of water in xylem in chapter 11. Soil are reservoir of essential elements. Majority of nutrients that are essential for the growth and development of plant become available to the roots due to weathering and breakdown of rock. These processes enrich the soil with dissolved iron and inorganic salt. Since they are derived from the rock minerals, their role in plant nutrient is referred to as mineral nutrient. Soil consists of wide variety of substances. Soil not only supplies minerals but also harbors nitrogen fixation bacteria. Other microbes hold water supply here to root and act as a matrix that stabilizes the plant. Since deficiency of essential minerals affect the crop yield, there is often a need for supplying them through fertilizer. Both macronutrient NPK, S, etc. and micronutrient Cu, Zn, copper, zinc, ferrous, magnesium, etc. form component of fertilizer and are applied as per need. Metabolism of nitrogen. Nitrogen cycle. Apart from carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, nitrogen is the most prevalent element in living organisms. Nitrogen is a constituent of amino acid, proteins, hormones, chlorophylls and many of the vitamins. Plants compete with microbes for the limited nitrogen that is available in soil. Thus, nitrogen is a limiting nutrient for both natural and agricultural ecosystem. Nitrogen exists as two nitrogen atoms joined by a very strong triple covalent bond. The process of conversion of nitrogen to ammonia is termed as nitrogen fixation. In nature, lightning and ultraviolet radiation provide enough energy to convert nitrogen to nitrogen oxide. Industrial combustion, forest fire, automobile exhaust and power generation station are also source of atmospheric nitrogen oxide. Decomposition of organic nitrogen of dead plant and animal also into ammonia is called ammonification. Some of these ammonia volatilize and re-enter the atmosphere, but most of it is converted into nitrate by soil bacteria in the following steps: 2 ammonia plus 3 oxygen, 2 nitrous plus 2 H plus and 2 water, 2 nitrous plus oxygen, 2 nitrate. Ammonia is the first oxidized to nitrite by the bacteria Nitrosomonas and or Nitrococcus. The nitrite is further oxidized to nitrate with the help of the bacteria Nitrobacter. These steps are called nitrification. These nitrification bacteria are chemoautotrophs. The nitrate thus formed is absorbed by plant and is transferred to the leaf. In leaf, it is reduced to form ammonia that finally form the ammonia group of ammonia as amino acid. Nitrate present in the soil is also reduced to nitrogen by the process of denitrification. Denitrification is carried by bacteria Pseudomonas and Thiobacillus. Biological nitrogen fixation. Very few living organisms can utilize the nitrogen in the form into available abundantly in the air. Only certain prokaryotic species are capable of fixing nitrogen. Reduction of nitrogen to ammonia by living organism is called biological nitrogen fixation. The enzyme nitrogenase, which is capable of nitrogen reduction, is present exclusively in prokaryotes. Such microbes are called nitrogen fixer. Nitrogenase, ammonia. The nitrogen fixing microbes could be free living or symbiotic. Example of free living nitrogen fixing aerobic microbes are Azotobacter and Beijarnickia, while Rhodospirillum is anaerobic and free living. In addition, a number of cyanobacteria such as Anobaina and Nostoc are also free living nitrogen fixer. Symbiotic biological nitrogen fixation. Several types of symbiotic biological nitrogen fixing association are known. The most prominent among them is the legume bacteria relationship. Species of rod-shaped Rhizobium has such relationship with the root of several legumes such as alfalfa, sweet clover, sweet pea, lentils, garden pea, broad bean, clover beans, etc. The most common association on roots is as nodule. These nodules are small outgrowth on the root. The microbes Frankia also produce nitrogen fixing nodule on the root of non-leguminous plant. Almost both Rhizobium and Frankia are free living in soil, but as symbiont can fix atmospheric nitrogen. Uproot any one plant of a common pulse just before flowering. You will see near spherical outgrowth on the root. These are nodules. If you cut through them, you will notice that the central portion is red or pink. What makes the nodule pink? This is due to presence of leguminous hemoglobin or leg hemoglobin. Nodule formation. Nodule formation involves a sequence of multiple interaction between rhizobium and roots of the host plant. Principal stages in the nodule formation are summarized as follows. The rhizobia multiply and colonize the surrounding of root and get attached to epidermal and root hair cell. The root hair curl and bacteria invade the root hair. An infection thread is produced carrying the bacteria into the cortex of the root. where they initiate the nodule formation in the cortex of the root. Then the bacteria are released from the thread into the cell, which lead to the differentiation of specialized nitrogen fixing cell. The nodule thus formed establishes a direct vascular connection with the host for exchange of nitrogen, exchange for nutrient. These events are depicted in figure. The nodule contain all the necessary biochemical components such as the enzyme nitrogenase and leg hemoglobin. The enzyme nitrogenase is a molybdenum ferrous protein and catalyze the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen to ammonia, the first stable product of nitrogen fixation. The reaction is as follows: N2 plus 8 electron plus 8 hydrogen ion plus 16 ATP turns to 2 ammonia plus hydrogen plus 16 ADP plus 16 pion. The enzyme nitrogenase is highly sensitive to the molecular oxygen. It requires anaerobic condition. The nodule has adaptation that ensures the enzyme is protected from oxygen. To protect this enzyme, the nodule contains an oxygen scavenger called leg hemoglobin. It is interesting to note that these microbes live as aerobes under free living condition where nitrogenase is not potential, but during the nitrogen fixing event they become anaerobic, thus protecting the nitrogenase enzyme. You must have noticed in the above reaction that ammonia synthesized by nitrogen requires a very high input energy, 8 ATP for each ammonia produced. The energy required thus is obtained from the respiration of the host cell. Fate of ammonia. At physiological pH, the ammonia is protonated to form ammonium ion, while most of the plants can assimilate nitrate as well as ammonium ion. The latter is quite toxic to plant and hence cannot accumulate in them. Let us now see how the ammonium ion is used to synthesize ammonia acid in plant. There are two main ways in which this can take place. One, reductive ammonation. In this process, ammonia reacts with alpha ketoglucaric acid and form the glutamic acid as indicated in the equation given below. Alpha ketoglucaric acid plus ammonium ion plus NADPH by glutamate dehydrogenase, glutamate plus water plus NADP. 2. Transamination. It involves the transfer of ammonia group from one amino acid to keto group of a keto acid. Glutamic acid is main amino acid from which the transfer of ammonia. The ammonia group takes place and other amino acids are formed through transamination. The enzyme transaminase catalyst all such reactions. For example, amino donor plus amino acceptor. The two most important amides, asparagine and glutamine, found in plants are structural part of proteins. They are formed from two amino acids, namely aspartic acid and glutamic acid, respectively. By addition of another amino group to each, the hydroxyl part of the acid is replaced by another amino radical. Since amide contain more nitrogen than the amino acid, they are transported to other parts of the plant via xylem vessel. In addition, along with the transpiration stream, the nodule of some plants, example soybean, export the fixed nitrogen as urea These compounds also have a particularly high nitrogen to carbon ratio.